Yeah, this is Point Blank. Coming in hard and off the card. Coming with the flow straight from the barrio and coming with the heat from the damn street. This is PBN and Point Blank National News, the late and the great edition, and the ghetto edition as well. Because this is what we must do. With the facts to crack backs and the boom bit to the line as leaves. You know what I'm saying? PBN, Point Blank National News. Now today, you know what I'm saying, we're still looking at what was said based on the now situation that seems to have taken a front stage in the actual situation of the pandemic, which would be in more essential ways what caused the the pandemic in the first place. You know what I'm saying? In itself, when we look at the whole aspect of it, we don't see any logical understanding in itself. You know what I'm saying? In itself, where we see any kind of logical understanding that could possibly have caused what we saw to happen in 2020, you know what I'm saying, as to, you know what I'm saying, it's, we didn't see, they gave us an understanding of an origin of place where it could have come from, or what they saying, or where they saying it did come from. But when we look at what they're saying, it does not lead to much. That is not what we see. That is not what we see in no shape or form. You know what I'm saying? What we see though is an understanding of you saying that it came from Wunao Laboratory. You know what I'm saying? In more ways than one. This is what they're saying. Now, if it came from the Wunao Laboratory, you know what I'm saying? Excuse me, people. If it came from the Wunao Laboratory, you know what I'm saying? Then we must look at the whole aspect of the geographical area in itself. In itself, when we look at Wunao, you know what I'm saying? And when we look at Wunao in its geographical, that has to be a place in which we see a small area or area in which the virology lab is. Now, when we look at the virology lab and we see the connection of anti-45 to the weasel, along with its 11 scientists all spread around the world, you know what I'm saying? And we see that there is a global effect. First question we have to ask, though, is how long has Anthony Fauci, the killing weasel, been doing this across the planet? We know for a fact that they've been doing it in places like India, Africa, and places like that. Any place they deem to be less than there, so they could just fuck around with the people's lives and do all kinds of shit to them with these chemicals and shit, and it'll be all good in the hood and nobody will care. You know what I'm saying? And has been the problem with African people right here in America as well. You know what I'm saying? While they calling themselves, you know what I'm saying, Americans. You know what I'm saying? But when we look at the aspect of it, you know what I'm saying, they have no concern in a shape or form for gotta get some oil from my hair. Keep washing it, get some dry. But we don't see no aspect of them uh, 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 not having and involvement within these countries as to the different things that they have done to the people as a whole. So we have to look at Anthony Fauci, the killing weasel, and the garbage in which he have done. You know what I'm saying? We have to look at that. You know, how long was this man going around the planet Earth with other scientists, involved with other scientists and other people, and and doing this garbage in itself? Is a question that we must ask. You know what I'm saying? It's a question that we must ask. You know, when we look at the whole situation all together. You know what I'm saying? All together. You know. Now, when we look at that, we see the small area of Wu now, and he's trying to tell us there was a leak in the laboratory. Now, when we say a leak, the leak wouldn't have traveled up and caused a global effect coming only from Wu now virology lab. To me, somewhere that is a lie and a decoy, you know what I'm saying, in itself to make people believe that there is some form of overstanding to that. And there is none. There is none when we look at it. You know, where's the virology? You know what I'm saying? How could it spread that fast and that quick? You know what I'm saying? You know, and then we still look at the whole thing of, you know, Anthony Fauci saying that and pushing this thing to real fast. You know what I'm saying? In you know, the whole ideology of it. You know. Now we're gonna take a look at the virology lab, and we don't see what they're saying in no shape or form. I don't care what they say. You know what I'm saying? You know, but when we look at the laboratory, let's take a look and see where it is that they said this came from. When we look at it. And another thing we have to look at is why would this laboratory be producing deadly viruses in this laboratory that would affect, you know what I'm saying, the human population. The human population. This is a tragedy in such a way that we must look at this thing, you know what I'm saying, you know, real seriously. You know what I'm saying? Because even when we look at the virology lab, they're developing, you know what I'm saying, even novel rabies and stuff like that. And they're messing with animal diseases. They're messing with animal diseases in hybridizing them. And then it's not geared towards why would you hybridize any disease in the first place is a question that you have to ask. That's the number one question. That's the number one question. Why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? But when we look at it, you see the Wu Now Institute of Virology, Chinese Academy of Science. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? When we look at it, this is in China. Okay. Is a research institute on virology administered by the Chinese academic academy, I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying, of science, which report to the State Council of the People's Republic of China. When we could say they report to the CCP. You know what I'm saying? The Institute is one of 9 independent organizations in Wunao branch of the CAC. You know what I'm saying? Located in, I guess it's called J, J, I don't know how to say that word, but it's in the Genjing or something like that district. You could look it up in Wunao, Habib or whatever. It was founded in 1956 and an open mainland China first biosafe level. There is no such thing. You know what I'm saying? Talking about a bio level 4. There's no such thing. That's a dangerous laboratory when we really look at it. You know what I'm saying? So don't go by the pretty names. In laboratory in 2018, you know what I'm saying? The BLS 4 in laboratory in 2018. You know what I'm saying? This is this is after Trump got elected. You know what I'm saying? The institute has collaborated with the Galveston National Laboratory in the United States. Galveston, okay? The Center International D, uh, uh, I guess it's called Rick Hirsch or whatever, in infectious, infected, infectoriology in France. So we got two countries already. We got China, America, and France. Hmm. And the International Microbiology Laboratory in Canada. Trudeau. Oh, we got you, Trudeau. Oh yeah. The institute has been an active premier research center for the study of coronavirus. Coronavirus is an animal zootic disease. Let's get that straight, first of all. You know what I'm saying? The formation was in 1956. You know what I'm saying? And it was founded in China. Now, when you look at the laboratory, we're talking about a certain area. We're not talking about a whole geographic of China, like the whole land mass, or dead in the middle of the city. This is out in the country area somewhere in a small area. The headquarters, you know what I'm saying, is in Wunao district, Wunao, Harbi, China. So that's a small area, that's an area by itself. In more ways than one, when you look at it, it's an area by itself. You don't see too many things totally around this particular laboratory. When we look at the geographic of it, you know what I'm saying? We don't see that. We don't see that. You know what I mean? We don't see that graphical expansion to be a place where it's in an area that would affect anybody, even if there was a leak. Now, when you talk about a leak, getting back to that, what kind of leak is he talking about? Because we got sneaky leaks, we got all kinds of sneaky shit going on based on this clown ass talking that dumb ass shit. You know what I'm saying? But the director general is Wang Yi something, however his name, the party committee secretary. We see here. You know what I'm saying? We see the parent organization is the Chinese Academy of Science. Hmm. But we see the Without Institute of Virology was founded in 1956 as the Wunao Microbiology Laboratory under Chinese Academy of Science, the SSA. You know what I'm saying? It was established by scientists, you know what I'm saying, I guess in Shanghai or something like that, a graduate of, it was founded by the graduate of, what do you say your name? Sukuhao University, you know what I'm saying, and Chin, or Chin, you know what I'm saying, his last name, his name is spelled CHEN, Hen or whatever, Chen or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and his last name is Huagui. In 1961, it became South China Institute Biology Microbiology, and in 1962 was renamed Wunao Microbiology Institute. In 1970, it became the Microbiology Institute in Hubei or wherever province. You know what I'm saying? When the Hubei Commission of Science, you know what I'm saying, and Technology took over the administration in June 1978. It was returned to the CAC and renamed the Wunao Institute of Virology In 2003, the Chinese Academy of Science approved the construction of mainland China first biosafe level 4, which is garbage, laboratory in Wunao. In 2014, it became the National Biosafe Laboratory was built as the cost of 30 million, yens. US would be 44 million in collaboration and with the assistance from the French. Here we go. Here we go. From the French with their crooked ass. They're the one who went into Vietnam, under the guise of the collaboration with the United States and many other different bullshit to go deep state garbage, and went into Vietnam and was the one who sparked off that war in itself. They used the French to do it. You know what I'm saying? And here it is again. You know what I'm saying? Assist from the French government. The new laboratory built has 300 whatever M2, of BLS whatever 4 space, and also 20, whatever in the building. This is just explaining probably the building and the laboratory and the BLS 3 laboratory. The BLS 4 faculty were accredited by China, by China National uh, 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 accreditation service for the uh, 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 conformity assessment, the CNAS, in January 2017, with the BLS 4 laboratory level, lab, put into operation in 2018. The highest level of biosafe installation is necessary because the institute investigates highly dangerous viruses such as SARS, influenza, the H5N1, ooh H1N1, huh? The Japanese, in, I guess it's called Sep, Sephatis or whatever, and uh, dengue, whatever the disease may be. The National Safety Laboratory has strong ties to the Galveston, in Texas. Ooh. It also has ties to Canada. Ooh, microbiology lab in Canada. Imagine that. Until the will now Institute of Virology staff science, whatever his name is, Xiangguo, and then the last name is OIU. And her husband, his name is look like Kaiding Chain or whatever, his name is Kiding, last name Cheng, who was also, uh, uh, also remunerated by the Canada government. I guess it was, whatever, where Canada government were es- escorted from the Canada lab for undisclosed reasons in July 2019. The researchers from the Wunao Institute of Virology have in the past collaborated with international scientists in the creation of uh, chimic, co- I guess it's called chimeric COVID virus. hmm Some researchers, notably Richard Ebright, or whatever his name is, believe this work this work falls under the definition of gain of function research, but many other experts dispute this classification. No, it is gain of function. What the fuck is he talking about? And what other experts dispute that? So that tells me that you're full of shit. That's what that tells me. You're garbage. The number of safety precautions were taken into consideration when the building and the building with- when building the Wunao lab. The lab was built far away from any any food plane. It was also built to withstand a magnitude a magnitude seven a magnitude 7 earthquake, even though the region has no history of earthquakes. Many Wunao lab staff were trained at the BLS 4 lab in Lyon, France. You know what I'm saying? Researchers was also trained in Australia, Canada, and the United States. Got 'em. Deities, deities, deities. Uh-huh. Scientists such as the U.S. Molecular biology, Richard H. Bright, who had expressed concerns about previous escapes of SARS virus at the Chinese laboratory in Beijing, and had been troubled by the pace and scale of Chinese plans for expansion into the BSL-4 laboratory, called the institute a world-class research institute that does world-class research in virology and immunology. Immunology. Notice that your immune system. You see what I'm saying? Your immune system. Talk about immunology. You know what I'm saying? So there's varieties in the research in your immune system. While he note that the Wunao Institute of Virology is a world leading in the study of bat coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? Bat coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? It's SARS related coronavirus disease. So they are blending these shits in the witch pot because in 2005, a group including researchers from the Wunao Institute of Virology published a research into the origin of the SARS coronavirus, finding that China, you know what I'm saying, China, Rochelle, bat were natural carries natural reservoirs of SARS like COVID virus. That's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Continuing this work over a period of years, researchers from the institute, sample thousands of Hiroshima bats in the location across China. You know what I'm saying? Isolating over 3,000 coronavirus bat sequence. That's bullshit. That shit right there is if that's the truth, they're making viruses from animals to put into human beings. Don't give me that bullshit. Don't give me that bullshit. In 2015, the international team, including two scientists from the institute, published a successful research on whether a bat coronavirus could be made to affect a human cell. So a human cell, you know what I'm saying? The line HeLa, HELA. You know what I'm saying? The team engineered a, a hybrid virus. They made a hybrid virus. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? To combining a bat coronavirus with a SARS virus that had been adapted to grow in mice and mimic human disease. This hybrid virus was able to infect human cells. Okay? So when we look at the whole ideology and even the geographic area in which this took place and all this is taking place and all who is involved. And when we look at the laboratory itself, we see that there was nothing around it, not even close to food. So if there was a leak of this virus, then how did it get into the population as a global effect all around the world, all at the same time, all at the same time, because that's what we saw. I don't want to hear nothing about what happened before or this and how long it's been around, how many years of this and that. You garbage, nigga, and all you dumb motherfuckers sitting up there talking about, oh, COVID been around for years. No, it has not. No, it has not. And if it was, it wasn't in the involvement of affecting human cells. It was with the animals and stay with us. So we know a lot of these beastful individuals, you know what I'm saying, you know, in itself has a connection to animals, and they definitely is probably one. So don't give me that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because we look at their DNA and we see the DNA and their makeup and their hair and their color, and we see exactly what they are. Because if we was to do a scientific understanding of all of that, we cannot leave it up to science. We have to leave it to the understanding of what it is. We see they share the same phenotype and the same hair type. You see what I'm saying? And color of skin that can be burned by the sun. So we know full well that it is not of the black race. This is why they constantly on the attack of black people, because we are natural people. We are natural to this earth, and we are natural to the solar planet itself. You know what I'm saying? So their attack is completely to use these diseases in all shapes and forms to affect the human race. You know what I'm saying? Which would be black people. You know what I'm saying? In all ways and many other types that share now our DNA, even their ass. Now, when you look at their ass, they share more of that, of something else that they are sitting up here, you know, and they will do this nasty shit, you know what I'm saying, in all ways. Now, when they talk about a leak, you know what I'm saying, in all shapes and forms, they are garbage. They are garbage because that leak would not have taken place from the Wanao laboratory and spread in a global effect. You know what I'm saying? But one thing we do know was a global effect was the juicing program. You know what I mean by the juicing program. Because a lot of millions of people took the juice. You know what I'm saying? They took that fresh juice. You know what I'm saying? They lined up by the millions to do it. You know, in a hasty way, you know, concoct by Anthony Fauci to kill the weasel. So he has been doing this shit across the planet, and AIDS itself was probably created by that idiot. You know what I'm saying? So now we know who's going around doing the spreading and what they're doing. And we know the different people who are all involved. Canada, France, all of these people. And all these countries. You know what I'm saying? Canada, you know what I'm saying? The French, you know what I'm saying? And America. You know what I'm saying? 3 of these countries. We see who has the leading understanding of this matter. Now, when we talk about a leak, again, we're coming back to the same situation. When we talk about a leak, you know what I'm saying? How is it possible for the virology lab or for them to claim that the leak came from a virology lab? Now, when you say a leak, what do you mean? What do you mean? You see? So they put that in this in order to say that this could happen. So this was said a minute ago. This was said a minute ago. But when we look at a leak, how can a leak possibly have happened from the Wunao laboratory, spread all the way around the world, and then put everybody under these mandates of lockdown, stay at home, you know what I'm saying, quarantine and all this different stuff, shutting down the cities and every fucking thing, you know what I'm saying, and making the people stay at home while they wear masks inside, outside, and all the time. So something ain't right in the whole aspect of this matter. And the Wunao laboratory does not seem to hold water other than the fact that if you saying there was a leak, there was no leak. It had to have been an attack. We have to look at this. You talking about Trump attack on January 6th Luciferian bullshit, you know what I'm saying, that the demon Democrats are trying to put on Trump. But when we look at coronavirus, That's what we see. Because even if they was to make this particular virus, which was done a long time ago, and so on and so on, you made it and hybridized it to affect human beings. So how is that acceptable in any shape or form? Is the question that we must ask. How is that acceptable? There is no acceptability of it. So that means that if it was taken or created, then you created it to affect human beings, a human cell from an animal garbage shit, bottle it, and you call yourself spreading it around the world. Which, in more ways than one, I don't know if I believe that either. But we're going to use that case in itself and spread around the world. Now you spread it around the world.